All right, Fields, are you ready?
Only if they're easy questions. I'm
They're
ready.
always they're always easy questions.
You're right.
I guess my first question is, you guys needed to win two games last weekend. The offense had been, facing some challenges. What did you guys do to kind of embrace the moment and kind of elevate your game as an offense to win those two games?
Yeah, I think we just focused on and credit the coaching staff for this is, instilling a lot of confidence in us always, but especially going into this week, I feel like that was a huge focus for them. Is just, helping us be as confident as possible and reminding us, how much success we have had this year as an offense. I think to start the season, we were on pace, to maybe set some records in terms of goals per game. And I know that was earlier in the season, but I think a big thing is lacrosse is a game of runs, right? Whether that's a game or a season of runs as well. I think you see that with every team. Some wins stack up, some losses stack up. Um, but I think offensively, what we did was just really try to get a lot of movement out there. I think we were getting stagnant and kind of watching each other out there in the past couple games. Where last weekend, I think you saw everyone was moving, everyone was, touching the ball, getting a lot of swings, but also, just off the ball, moving, cutting, setting picks. I think we're all working as one unit, and we're definitely going to need to do that this weekend to get a win.
What was the feeling in the locker room after you guys had locked up that playoff spot after kind of a crazy 72 hours?
Yeah, it was. As you can imagine, it was a lot of excitement. I think going into last weekend, we obviously knew what we needed, but we can only control what we could control, right? And that's getting two wins, in the games that we were playing in. And then obviously we needed a lot to happen otherwise, and it did happen. So we are feel lucky for that. You'd rather have it in your own hands for everything, but I think it was just a lot of excitement. Obviously, I think, and as you know, right, you're on the team so much that you just see how much we all care about each other and love being around each other. So, um, just for another week, and hopefully a bunch more weeks coming up. But obviously, just for another week, I think it's just been a lot. It was a lot of excitement, and yeah, at the end of each season, obviously, in a perfect world, you keep everyone, right, but I feel like there's never really the same team the next year. There's always a couple minor addition or a couple additions or a couple people leave. It's just part of the sport. So, um, you know, we really love our group, and I think we just wanted to extend this time as long as possible and hopefully get a championship.
I guess my last question is to you, Thomas McConvey. He now has a full regular season under his belt. How have you seen him kind of grow and mature playing on that left side with you?
Yeah, I think the world of T Mac as a person and a player. I think I think he's got so much potential, and I think you saw how good he is, this year, and I think he's getting even better than he started, which is hard to do, but he's getting even better with the confidence he was getting. I feel lucky to be able to play alongside him. He's very unselfish, very selfless player out there that does a little of everything. He could carry the ball, he could set picks, he could get himself open and others open. So, T Mac, yeah, I think he's definitely, and I think he's one of those, names that's up there for rookie of the year. But I think, he's had a tremendous season, and he has a really, really bright future ahead of him. He's going to keep growing as a player as well as his confidence, and the sky's the limit for him. So I had a lot of fun, so far playing with him this year, and obviously, hopefully, we can keep this thing going.
All right, that's it for me.
Hey, Connor, thanks for doing this. Appreciate your time.
Oh, of course. Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Uh, the way you guys closed out the season, as Ripper was just talking about, was pretty incredible. Um, and then you look at the two games that you're involved. I mean, you put up seven. You have couple penalty shots mixed in there for good measure.
Gotta love those.
What was the adrenaline like for you living through those two games?
Yeah, I think for me, and I think it's part of what could give us an advantage in the playoffs. I mean, this past weekend was the start of playoffs for us, right? It was do or die for us, um, which now it is continuing. But I think just for me, and I think you talk to players around the league. Obviously everyone's very confident player and very good player to be playing at this level. But I feel like, those are the games you love playing in the most is those that, have a lot riding on the line. And, for me personally, I just want to do whatever it took to help our team win. Whether that was a goal, assist, getting back on defense if needed, loose balls. So I just tried to focus on what I can do best. And I think we all try to do that as a team. And the adrenaline was definitely going, especially seeing some of, the games happening Saturday night the way we needed them to. And, obviously we all wanted just another week with each other. And that's the motto moving forward, is just keep getting another week with this group. We all love being around each other. So we want to keep this thing rolling.
It turns out we have all the league calls on one day here, so we're talking to Toronto today as well, and Tom Schreiber was super complimentary of you, um, going back to your summers together. We asked him why you're so difficult to play against, and he said he wished he had a straight answer for that. Why is it that you're able to break through so many other defenses when you know they're game planning for you?
Well, first off, I love Tom as a person and think the world of him as a person and a player. So, just to even hear that, the compliments from him it means a lot. And, I think he's a tremendous player in person. But I guess to answer your question, I just think I don't know. I just try to go out there and, do what I can to to help our team win. Whether that's, some games I might need to score a couple goals more than normal. Others, might be more of a feeder that game. So just adapting to how the defenses are playing us. That's what I try to do best is really keying in on watching the film, listen to our coaching staff, because they always put in a great game plan for us, and trying to execute that. But, I think it's our whole offense, right? And I think there's not one guy you could, really key in on. I think we have a bunch of great pieces on our team, just like every other team. And, I think we just do a good job out there in terms of executing the game plan, and, not letting the defenses dictate our play, but we want to dictate the play out there.
Uh, yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. When you, what did you learn from your Buffalo days, and what prepared you to be more of a centerpiece, that the offense could build around? Because obviously in Roch, you're putting up a bit of a different number than you used to in Buffalo with more opportunity.
Yeah, I think, I've been really lucky throughout my career in the NLL, to play for some great teams, some great coaches. In San Diego, starting with Patrick Merrill. I learned a lot there. I learned a lot from the guys I was playing alongside with too. There's a bunch of great players on that team. Um, and then the same with Buffalo, right? I think it's just kind of, when you play on teams like that, it's just being a sponge, and really just try to take in as much information as you can, especially for a guy like me who, doesn't have as much box experience as say the rest of the league. So I just tried to, obviously I'll take everything in, do a lot of work at home. Great training staff here at home too. Actually, I go to the same trainers I did when I played for the Bandits too. So they do a great job with strength and conditioning, getting me ready for the season. But, I think playing for JT too in Buffalo was, I grew up watching him play in Banditland. So, I think I just try to, keep my ears open, and like I said, taking as much as I could. But I think it all comes down to opportunity, right? I think everyone in the league is a really good player to be playing at this level, but you can only be as good as the opportunity you're given. And in Buffalo, obviously still being a newer player in the league, but they have great players, right? So I was more of a role player. I was one probably lower on the depth chart, and I was fighting for a roster spot, to be in the lineup each night. And I think once I came to Rochester, even before the trade happened, just the confidence that they instilled in me, I would say a lot of that is to credit for the success I've had here. Because like I said, I played for a lot of great teams, but I don't know if I've had that confidence from the coaching staff that I have had since day one in Rochester. So, that helps me as a player to be out there and go, play my game and play to the best of my abilities. And then use everything I learned from those other teams to, help be successful.
Two more for me. Sorry, I'm kind of hogging it here, everybody. Just to build on that a little bit, and I know you're a humble guy, so I'm putting you on the spot here, but you're in the MVP category this year, and obviously the league has taken note. So, what's allowed you personally to be able to thrive under the spotlight? Because there's a lot of guys that think they want that opportunity, and then when it comes to them, it's not as easy as they realize game to game to have that responsibility or that spotlight.
Yeah, I think it's just what's allowed me to, I think, is, like I said, the confidence that the coaching staff has in me and management. I think, it's a season of, flows, right? It goes, some games are going your way, the bounces, other games aren't, right? And I think, one consistent thing throughout this whole season and my time in Rochester is that confidence that they have in me, you know, instilling it in me, whether I had it or not myself. I always feel like I am a confident player, but each game, they're sure to remind us all of how talented of players we are to be playing in this league, and I think that helps me as a player go out there and play my game. But I feel like I thrive in the big moments. Hopefully keep it going into playoffs, but I think that's one thing that big time players tend to do is try to help their team in any way they can in those big moments. So, that's something I really have worked on. I've been working the off season, talking with the coaches and training staff and at what weight I wanted to come in at and X this, X that, really all that type of stuff to be, in the best shape possible to come into the season. So, but yeah, I think the confidence is the first thing that comes to mind in terms of, being able to shine in those moments.
All right, last one, and it's the toughest one. That's why it's last.
Oh boy.
Rochester will beat Toronto if you do what? Fill in the blank for me.
I think we'll beat Toronto if we could execute, to the best of our abilities, I would say. I think every team in this league is so talented, and obviously we're playing the number one team in the league, right? And they're number one for a reason. They were the best team in the regular season to be able to play at that high of a level for the longest amount of time, right? To get all those wins. So, but I think also, we've showed spurts of greatness throughout the season this year too, in terms of as a team aspect. So, I think even we go back to Sunday, obviously every team in this league's great, and to hold a team to 3 goals, I think that is a testament to, how good of a defense we have in goaltending. And then, obviously offensively, we showed spurts of greatness as well throughout the season. So I think we have to play a complete full 60 minutes is a key, which isn't an easy thing to do, right? But we have to be ready and come prepared because we have obviously our hands full this weekend with a great Toronto team.
Connor, thank you. Looking forward to it Saturday.
Yep. Thank you so much. We'll see you there.
Hey, Connor, Adam Levy here. How you doing?
Hey, Adam, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for taking some time with us. I've just got 2 quick questions for you. First is obviously an incredible moment for yourself to be in the postseason here, but what does it mean to you, especially as a new dad, to be performing? And will baby Finn be in attendance?
Yeah. Well, first off, it's it's such a cool, and you hear it from other guys, right? Just in terms of when they had their kids and stuff like that. Before we had Finn, and how cool it is to be able to play in front of them, and I got to experience it firsthand twice this year, once against Halifax at home, and then this past weekend, which was, I can't even explain how amazing it was. And yeah, he will be there this weekend, so hopefully he brings the good luck again. But it's such a cool, it's right, any parent, right? You as a dad, right? You know the exact feeling of how amazing the whole experience is with a kid. So he'll definitely be there. Hopefully he brings some good luck. He'll probably have to wear the same outfit he did last weekend to keep the good mojo going. but yeah, we're excited.
And to piggyback off of one of John's questions, and it's interesting also that the guy that you're kind of going up against, at least offensively speaking, Tom Schreiber, also has a newborn as well. But I wanted to ask you more specifically about, you don't get many games in the National Lacrosse League where you have two high caliber American players going head to head and kind of being the stars of their teams. What does it mean, do you think, for the future of the sport, and also the growth of the game, that you've got yourself and Tom playing as Americans in this do or die game?
Yeah, well, first off, to be in a conversation with Tom is obviously tremendous honor. Like I said before too, I love playing with him in the summers, but I have the most respect for him as a player in person. I think he's a phenomenal player and an even better person. So, but I just think, in terms of that, I think you're starting to see more and more Americans popping into the indoor game. And I think it just shows, how, I think if you ask anyone who's played indoor or outdoor, I think, 9 out of 10 people would tell you they enjoy indoor better, just the fast pace and the ins and outs of the game. The challenge of trying to score on a smaller net with a bigger goalie. I think that's always fun. But I just think it shows that the game's growing at such a fast pace, and obviously it's been a huge, it's been in Canada for as long as we can remember, right? And for the U.S., it's always been field lacrosse, right? And now you're seeing a bunch of new teams popping up in all over the place. But around me in Rochester and Buffalo and all these different areas, there's a lot more box lacrosse happening, and I think that's so great for the sport to get more eyes on it, or more of the youth to start playing it. And I think you're going to see each year there's going to be better and better players coming out and breaking records and doing all these great things, because the amount of people who are getting into the sport now is so much more than it was say 10 years ago. So it's really cool to see the American side of the game growing for the indoor game.
Perfect. And we won't let Mr. Rabel hear that answer, but thank you for your honesty and your preference. Thanks so much, Connor.
Of course. It's great talking with you, Adam. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hopefully Preston's picking us this weekend.
We got to do the picks later today.
Persuade him, Rochester. No. Extra bowl ice cream if you picked Rochester. No.
Hey, Connor. Just probably one or two things for you here before we let you get going. You talked earlier about the weekend and obviously kind of a wave of momentum, but last time you guys were in Toronto, tough matchup and you're playing the first seed team. Is there a benefit in the fact that you're going to play them literally 2 weeks after you last did? Is it just sort of knowing their tendencies, and obviously there's video that can provide that, but with it being a little bit more fresh and having seen them more, or do you think that doesn't really matter?
Yeah, I think it's definitely, you get to see, in terms of, and they have the advantage too, right? It goes both ways there in terms of getting to see exactly, the style of offense or defense that a team's playing, because that could change, throughout the course of a season. But it's fresh on everyone's minds. It's been, like you said, 2 weeks ago, so. And I think that we've been really digging into the film and looking at what we could do better in terms of, since we played them last. I think also one benefit too is in terms of the format of the playoffs, right? This is just a 1-game series, so we just got to beat them once, right? We don't have to beat them in a series. We just got to beat them one game, and I think that's what makes these NL playoffs so interesting, especially this round of it. Is obviously anything could happen in a series, but anything could happen in one game, right? So we're just worried about focused on, as always, one play, one shift, one thing at a time, and hopefully those could add up to getting us this win.
You referenced that it's a one-off game. I think when you look on paper, it's hard not to view the Knighthawks as an underdog. But given the circumstances of this first round, does the pressure in your eyes? Do you feel the pressure is more on Toronto because they are trying to protect that first seed? They can have one bad night and their season can be over. And you guys are, I mean, even a week ago, I think to think that this team would be in the playoffs. There's a lot of people. Mike Hazen said earlier today it would be a hell of a parlay if you hit on everything in the last weekend of the NLL season. So do you guys in some ways almost feel like you're playing on house money?
I love that quote by Coach Hazen. That's awesome. Yeah, I think there's pressure on both sides, right? It's both of us. The season's on the line. To answer your question, I always do think that, especially when it's a one seed, right? They're expected to, it's just how it always goes, whether it's that way or not. The truth is that's always how I think there's always more pressure on a higher seed, especially when it's a one seed. But at the same time, we both have pressure, right? The season's on the line, and I keep saying it, and I was saying to the team too. But I think in terms of this past weekend, this was the start of playoffs for us this past weekend. It was do or die, right? And I think that was the mindset we have, is those were playoff games for us. So I think that's one thing that we could use as confidence, is we basically already played in 2 playoff games, right? And not to say that the past couple Toronto games meant nothing for them, because obviously the last one meant a lot for us. But I think just us, we're used to playing under pressure now, right? And not to say that they're not, but the truth is we needed to win, these last 2 games for sure, or else if we lost one, we were out. So I think we're going to use that confidence and momentum, and hopefully help us propel to a win.
Awesome. Thanks, Fieldsy.
Thank you.
Connor, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you. All the best. Thank you, guys.
You bet.
See ya.
Thanks, Connor.